What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another recap from the Bring the Thunder podcast. We have a super good one today, but we got the OGs here today. It's myself, Gabe, and we got Joe and Satvir. So we got, as Satvir called it, the OGs today. But let's just jump right into this one as OKC storms into the Garden and takes down the Celtics 118 to 112 without J-Dub. I will also point out that Boston did not have Porzingis, but still, what a game, fellas. What a game. I mean, one of the biggest wins we've had all season, in my opinion. Phenomenal. This defense is what we've been lacking. We kind of got concerned about that post-All-Star break defense kind of going away. This was beautiful. I mean, this was exactly what you want. And you can't say – the Celtics fans can't say what they said last time, which was, we were just off. We had an off shooting night. They were not off. Like, they were cashing, dude. Al Horford was just kicking our ass. Like, they were good tonight, but our defense, man, just prevailed time and time again. That was just a beautiful showing. Well, you guys get some words in for sure.
Yeah. Clearly, from what I think is the best one of the season. Now 2-0 against the defending NBA Finals champion, Boston Celtics. First game without Chet, second game without Dub, so it makes it even sweeter. Listen, the MVP showed up tonight, did MVP things, closed out the game, 34 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, on, of course, over 50% shooting. Why not? Really big night from Chet, showing that he could be the number 2 option. But like I said, we have 2A, 2B with Dub and Chet. 23 and 15 for Chet. And then the biggest key to the game tonight, Jayson Wallace. What a night. Defensively holding Brown to 10, 15 points.
10 points.
I think 10 points, 5 for 15.
We had 6 at the start of the fourth.
Brown fouls out. I mean, Jayson Wallace.
Beautiful.
Huge night. I mean, it just shows that Jayson could guard guys bigger than him, and that's real exciting for maybe a series with LA, with Luka. Yeah. And then one last guy I really want to shout out before I hand it off to Satvir here. Listen, we had no Caruso, no J-Dub, so guys like Isaiah Joe, but I really wanted to shout out Kenrich Williams. Hell of a game from Kenrich Williams tonight. Comes in 10 points, 4 boards, great defense, great play all around. Big 3 at the end of the game. Can't complain about him. Just an outstanding win for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Absolutely.
Yeah, shout out to Kenrich. I thought he was huge in those minutes. I felt like Caruso in a playoff setting would be the guy in his minutes, but I'm glad it's, we have another guy that's a veteran that he's just a calming presence. He's a glue guy. He's doing everything right on the court. He's in the right spaces that he needs to be in. He just understands how to play the game of basketball, similar to Hartenstein. Like, his numbers aren't eye-popping, but the space that he takes up, the cuts that he makes, those are things that win basketball games. I'm a big believer in that. That's kind of how I play when I play basketball out in the court. Like, I'm not over there trying to, score all the time or do anything fancy. I'm just trying to set picks, know my role, and understanding that. And I feel like having guys like Caruso, Hartenstein, Jayson Wallace, we can kind of go on and on, but the further these guys understand their role, the better it is. And that's kind of the reason we got this win. And that's why we get wins in general. Unless we see historic shooting presence against us, similar to what the Nuggets had, I feel like they had a crazy historic shooting night with shooting 60% from 3 in the second half there. So unless stuff like that happens, we rarely have taken losses this season. And I've mentioned that time and time again. It's really impressive. And then the other thing I saw Celtics fans and the commentators even mentioning, they were mentioning the foul differential. We're 3rd worst in the NBA as a team in, foul differential. The other thing is you can't expect to get fouls when you're shooting 63 threes.
Yeah.
Let's just be real here. Like, if you're not going to put yourself into the paint like we are, you're not going to get fouls. And we definitely deserve more fouls in general. But to seeing, a guy like Chet going into the paint and, getting some rim pressure, that's kind of what we need for the playoffs. I hope he kind of continues that. I don't mind him taking a couple threes, maybe 2 to 4 threes a game is fine by me, but I want him to live in that paint. Don't rise up for middies or fadeaways. Get them in foul trouble. And that was another huge point that we can kind of transition over to, is just the foul trouble Jaylen Brown was in, and the rest of the team was always in early foul trouble the whole game, and that really can defeat a team, honestly, like the Celtics or really anyone. If you're not going to be stable on that side of the basketball, like you're just not going to do yourself any favors. It felt like the worst way that the Celtics are known to play, which is not creating rim protection and then also fouling too much, is a recipe for disaster, and that kind of played into our favor. And this is the exact recipe that we'll be using in a finals matchup. This is kind of a preview for if we, both teams end up in the finals. This is exactly the game plan that Mark wants to roll out. So I'm glad he kind of perfected that to, the execution level that we needed. I feel like all things were kind of just humming, and I'm really happy about
Good word.
Yeah,
and one thing I wanted to add really quick as well was the win is just so much sweeter. Like I said, we didn't have Dub, but the Celtics had the luxury of being able to go and trap SGA, throw three guys at him when he drove to the free throw line. They tried to full court press him. They couldn't get it done. I mean, just going into Boston and pretty much for the whole game, never trailing. I mean, yeah, they were down by like 2 points once, maybe 2 points another time, but they were never down significant. I thought, listen, I said in our chat, I'm good with losing by 6 to 8 here without Dub and Caruso. And they just kept on winning quarters and winning key moments. Boston would go on little stretches. They had an 18-6. We'd slap them right back in the face. I mean, this looked like a championship team. And one thing I also want to add that really gave me a lot of hope was Mark Daigneault made the right adjustments tonight. He did not go double big against the Celtics small ball lineup. He did not have them in at the same time a lot. He had them in at the same time a little bit, which it was working, but it just wasn't going to be the key to success tonight. And listen, Aaron Wiggins, who's been outstanding for us, goes 0 for 9, doesn't score a single point. Mark had no problem with moving him and putting Jayson in, putting Kenrich, and it just all worked. And I'm just super excited for the rest of the season, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely going to mention that as well. But one thing that I was also going to point out with that I thought Mark did phenomenally is the thing with Boston is they're going to live or die by the three. And at no point did Mark panic out of that zone that we were playing. He kept that zone in because he knew that at some point they were going to stop hitting them. And there were streaks where they just started going on droughts. And I think that single-handedly, like, especially in the non-SGA minutes where we were winning a majority of those because our defense was just swarming on that zone. And at the same time, their three started going on these droughts, and that's when our other players started capitalizing. But at no point did Mark really like panic and just try to throw a completely different concept at him. I mean, he stuck to his game plan. He was subbing when he needed to. I mean, a wonderfully coached game from Mark tonight. Joe got out coached. He did, and you can't say that a lot. Joe Mazzulla is a phenomenal coach. He got out coached. And you want to talk about Cyber? You kind of mentioned the fouls, and Celtics fans complain about the fouls. How many times tonight did the announcers point out that it was clearly a foul? I mean, Boston was hacking. They were fouling. There was not
and that doesn't happen much to OKC.
No.
Announcers and commentators do not love OKC.
Right.
They normally, lean towards the bigger markets, and they were just calling them on their BS. And it was just a wonderful night, to be honest.
No, and they were trying to play very physical. I mean, and that kind of surprised me at how physically they were playing on Shai, especially like every time that Brown got switched on to Shai, he was pushing his body completely up against Shai, and they did not let that slide. And wonderful reffing tonight. I mean, great job by the refs to pay attention to that because a lot of refs will just let stuff like that go. But there's a reason that like hand checking and body checking like that gets called nowadays because that's a foul to the current NBA rules. And all night Boston was doing that, and they did not get away with it. And you get the Boston fans freaking out about it as if like that doesn't get called all the time for other players. So like, okay, Shai gets 10 free throws. Yeah, Shai easily earned all 10 of those. At no point tonight did Shai flop. At no point did he jump into a bad shot to get a free throw. Like, this was just a clear example of a team pushing the pace, forcing inside the paint, and forcing the other team to foul because when they didn't foul, we were scoring. So Boston had to foul, and that's what won us this game several times is we got to the free throw line, especially in that last – I mean, with 7 minutes left in the game, we were in the bonus. Like that single-handedly, it forced JB to get benched, and he didn't come back in until there were about 3-4 minutes left, and then he fouls out immediately. Like, an incredible game plan tonight to just keep pushing that pace and forcing Boston on defense to pick and choose because it felt like every time that Boston came down and hit one of those threes, we would come right back down and score in any way, shape, or form. And it ended up just being a more all-around, well-played game by OKC. I mean, they live and died by the 3-point game, and they were hitting their threes on and off, but we played correct basketball in every single asset of the game, and that's why we ended up winning this one, and we didn't even have our second best player.
I have absolutely nothing against Boston Celtics fans. They have nothing to do with me. I'm an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is just how crazy this Twitter and Instagram stuff is getting. This has nothing to do with the game. I mean, I guess it kind of does.
Mm-hmm.
I commented on one of Overtime's IG posts because they literally posted after the game, OKC just beat the Celtics, so basically they won the NBA Finals. Congrats, OKC, you did it. So I was like, okay, that's kind of a dumb post. We're 2-0 against them. We're not bragging about anything here besides just beating them. And they're mentioning me. Overtime is mentioning me in the comments right now, getting pissed off. Like, guys, it's all right. You're 0-2 against a team that didn't have their best second player twice. You just have to deal with it. You're the defending champs. Beat your Eastern Conference and then come see us because we'll be there.
Right. There's one thing I also wanted to give credit to, and you were kind of talking about having nothing against the Boston Celtics fans. I agree with that, and I have nothing against their team in general. There are too many people that I think disrespect how good of a player Jayson Tatum is. Jayson Tatum is an incredible player, and tonight that dude was he was showing us how good of a player he is. There are way too many people that ride with that like he's so cringy or like he's such
it doesn't matter. He'll put 40 on your team's head.
It's so dumb because he's such an incredible player. I mean, the dude like it's similar to what teams have to do with Shai. When our defense, I mean, luckily our defense is good enough to where we can just kind of run our defense. But at times in that last 6 minutes, every player, every like scheme we were running on defense was centered around keeping Jayson Tatum from getting the ball because they just kept trying to get him switched on, which huge credit to Cason Wallace on that one stop where he was fighting to deny the pass. The pass got made. Tatum gets to his spot, and Cason goes right up with him and forces a miss. But that's not my point. Tatum is an incredible player. He had a great game all around. I mean, he was a little inefficient from three, but he had a very good game. And I don't want to see people trying to call out Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum is a superstar. Jayson Tatum is an absolute elite player. But we did get the better tonight. I mean, I just think we played an all-around better game, especially with the foul trouble. You were talking about, Saber, you were talking about how obviously JB fouled out, but we had one of their most important players, and Derek White had 5 fouls. I mean, we were going to him all night, and Doris Burke actually pointed out one time that he's an incredible defender, and there was a play where Kenny drove baseline and forced him to foul, and that is something that he does not do. He does not make mistakes like that. Derek is an incredible defender.
We consistently
blocks guards. I mean, he's an incredible defender. He's outstanding.
We consistently applied pressure on their whole defense, and that's what just happened. I mean, didn't matter who it was. You keep putting pressure on defense, they're going to have to foul. I mean, that's it. They're going to force you to the line. The one thing about Tatum, I will say, is there's a select few players who OKC plays against where you kind of hold your breath because these guys could pop off at any time. Yeah. Tatum's one of them. The whole night tonight, I was like, all right, every time he got hot, I was like, well, shit, this could get out of hand quick because Tatum is an excellent basketball player. He's top tier. Yeah. I don't know if Boston – this might be crazy. Boston should not have Jayson Tatum shooting 12 threes a game.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
Jayson Tatum could have killed us from the midi tonight. He was shot over Cason all night if they got the change off of Lou.
Yep.
But we took advantage of that.
That's that live or die by the three, man. That is not just a saying. I mean, Boston genuinely will live and die by the three. In the same game, you'll see a 3-minute span where they hit 6 threes in a row, and then you'll see a 3-minute span where they go 0 for 9 from 3. I mean,
towards the end of the fourth quarter in the second half, they were 4 from 25 from 3.
Yeah.
That being said, we were contesting most of them.
Yeah.
But that also, I mean, when you got guys like Al Horford and got guys like who else?
Everybody on their team, Peyton Pritchard.
Like I know Pritchard's a great 6-man, but like if you got him shooting 40-foot threes consistently, not every night you're going to hit every three. And when you're playing a team like OKC, who's just going to keep pushing, keep going no matter what, because they don't care, they don't fold.
The word is relentless. It's relentless defense. It is absolutely suffocating. I mean, every single player on that court, no matter who it is, every single Oklahoma City Thunder player is pushing themselves to the absolute limit and then some on defense. It is absolutely incredible to watch as a fan when you see every player 1 through 5 guarding whoever they can. I mean, How many times did Chet get switched on to Drew Holiday, who's significantly quicker, and end up forcing him to pass? Like, that is so rare to have a team that's this good at defense. And it goes all the way down to our bottom player. I mean, last year people were saying that Wiggins and Joe weren't good at defense. What are you going to say now? Because Joe multiple times tonight switched on to Tatum, switched on to JB. I mean, we played some of the best defense I have seen a team play in a very long time. I mean, granted, I know they still scored 112, but that's because it's the reigning champs who shoot 63 threes in a game. Like, they're going to get shots to fall. Al Horford, that's a whole – I could do a whole episode talking about how phenomenal the player Al Horford is in terms of picking up the three ball to add to his career. But that's not the point. This team is just – and this is just defensively we're talking. This team is just outstanding. I mean, it truly is. It's absurd how good this defense is. And that's just talking about the defense. I mean, Joe, you mentioned the offense, how hard we're pushing the pace. We're not only pushing it against their defense, we're pushing on all three levels. We're knocking down threes, we're taking mid-range shots, and we're pushing in the paint. I mean, that is the most complete basketball you can play. And that's how I describe this. It's a complete game.
Here's the thing with OKC. I think they match up beautifully with Boston. Boston, they could shoot the hell out of the ball. We catch them in a 7-game series. They might have 2 or 3 games where they just don't miss.
Yeah.
But when they are missing, OKC won't try to get into a shootout with them. I mean, they shot a decent amount of threes tonight, but we're going to get to the paint. We're going to get to the mid-range. We're going to get to the foul line.
Yep.
And while you're chucking up threes, we're just going to keep scoring. And it's like we saw tonight. It's just going to be too late at the end of the game to try to mount a comeback. They did. They hit like 2 or 3 threes down the stretch. The game was already over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Them kind of that scenario, what you just laid out is the perfect scenario for us. They're shot checking threes. They're thinking that if they play 5 out against us, that we'll shot chuck with them. And we're just way too disciplined. I mentioned this a while ago. We may not have the experience, but we have the IQ. We have some of the smartest guys in basketball, 1 through 10. We're going to attack weaknesses. We're going to notice whatever your game plan is and break it down, whether it's the guys on the court or Mark knowing exactly what to do in terms of the scouting report. And what you'll notice against teams like just the higher end echelon teams, Mark is going to take those games a lot more seriously in terms of game planning and coming in with the right rotations. You saw he wasn't really messing around.
Saw that tonight.
Yeah, he wasn't messing around in this game. He wanted to send a message because he understood, similar to the Nuggets game, that these are guys that we're going to be meeting, and we don't want to, this is not the time to experiment. So that's what I like about Mark. Like, he understands against a team like the Celtics, the Nuggets, he won't experiment, and then we'll play against the Pistons next, and he'll be like, you know what, I'll leave Joe a little bit longer, or I'll do a different rotation here, or maybe I'll play a little bit more. We'll probably see a lot more double big against the Pistons just to try it out a little bit more, because we can get away with it against teams like that.
Why not?
At least until the rest of the season. So I'm really excited about that.
That's an awesome point. And listen, it's getting to the point where, I know we lost to Denver the other night, but we also whooped their ass when we were up, when we had J-Dub and we had a whole healthy team, right? So it's getting to a point where I don't even know which version of OKC is the best version. I mean, we're winning games against Boston without Dub. Then we're winning games against Boston without Chet. We're winning games without everybody besides SGA. Everyone's been out, and they're just winning games.
Yeah.
Guys, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
SGA is the engine, man. The engine that is going to win MVP. I'm going to go on a quick tangent here of a bunch of stats that I have pulled up.
MVP. Go for it. Go for it. Let's go.
For sure, bro. All right. So with this win, the Thunder have officially clinched a playoff spot. The Thunder have now the same odds as the Celtics after this win. I mean, that's super impressive. OKC is headed to the postseason in back-to-back years for the first time since 2019. Let's go. Thunder clinch the 12th playoff appearance since 2010, and that's the second most in the NBA. The Oklahoma City Thunder only allowed, I think we didn't allow any 2-point field goals in that entire first quarter. So that point that you were making earlier, Joe, where they weren't getting any 2-pointers off, like that was a huge thing for us. We're improved to 54-12 right now, 2-0 against the Boston series. And in this game specifically, in the first half, they shot 15 of 36 from 3. Second half, they shot 5 of 27 from 3. That's ridiculous. And against the East, we've demolished the East. I don't know which loss it was because we've only had so few, but we're 22-1 against the Eastern Conference. Ridiculous.
Cleveland. First game against Cleveland.
Yep. We did lose against Cleveland. So, and cool SGA MVP stats I got here. SGA was the best player on the court this game. Won the game at the later part of the stages here in the fourth quarter he hit that big mid-range over Derek White to get that 10-point lead. I thought that was nasty. I mean, absolutely nasty. And then Jayson, of course, we already highlighted what he did and brought to this game. 34, 4, and 7 on 66 true shooting. I mean, Shai is one of those guys where he's shooting such a high efficiency where you can kind of compare him to guys that are power forwards and centers and guys like Giannis in terms of efficiency in general on the court, which shouldn't even be possible, and I've never seen it ever in my life. Shai also got his 10,000th career points, and he got them faster than Kevin Durant tonight, and it was only in 368 games versus Kevin Durant's 381 games. And I'm going to rattle off our playoff history. 2009, didn't make it. From 2010 all the way to 2020 playoffs. 2021 missed the playoffs. 22 missed the playoffs. 23 play-in. 24 playoffs. 25 playoffs. I mean,
how blessed to be an OKC fan, man, right? Now it's just to getting rid of that black cat and winning the damn championship. Because we can make the playoffs all we want. I know, I mean, we've been spoiled. We really have. I mean, one of the quickest turnaround rebuilds ever. But let's go win that championship now. I mean, this team's ready. Let's do it.
I mean, so talking about one of the quickest turnarounds ever, I mean, we genuinely had a GM that started an entire movement, essentially, in this whole concept of trading star players for picks and focusing so heavily on these picks. I mean, we're so blessed, like you mentioned, Joe, so blessed to have a GM who was capable of pulling that off because, I mean, you get people don't even talk about the Damian Lillard shot anymore because of what it did to this team. I mean, it could not have been a better thing for this
team. Thanks, Dame. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it could not. Yeah, really. It could not have been better for this team because the place that we are in now is unlike any team has ever had. With our future, with our current roster, with the amount of depth. I mean, I've said this so many times, but to suffer from success is the best thing you can have. I mean, we're too good. We're too deep. We have too many different rosters. And when that clicks eventually, because Mark has to pick a roster eventually, or at least a couple to have in his deck. Once that clicks, suddenly the issue of being too deep and too good goes away, and then what's our issue?
Nothing.
There isn't one. Then the lights are on, and all of a sudden this team's gonna really just show off. And
it's all about showing up and performing. That's it.
Yeah. In the last episode, I had went on this whole tangent about how the league's not ready. The league isn't ready to see us. The league's not ready for what we're gonna do. Well, there was another report today from ESPN again that teams are still disrespecting the Thunder. The Thunder just walked into TD Garden and beat the reigning champs without their second best player. So at this point, it's come down to it doesn't matter what the fans think. It doesn't matter what the media thinks. It doesn't even matter what the other teams think anymore because we're going to continue to show how good we are. I mean, that's what's been proven. It's what matters what we think.
I just have to know, and I have to ask somebody who does know. Who are these teams that are saying that they're not worried about OKC? Is it the Lakers? Because that's the only other team that I could think that would say it. Right.
It's definitely Western Conference teams from all the Windhorse reporting.
Who is it? The Lakers and the Warriors?
It's definitely the Lakers, the Warriors, the more veteran teams.
I don't think it's Denver. I think Denver truly respects OKC.
I think so, but I think Lakers, because he's very close with LeBron. Yeah, he's definitely hearing rumblings from those guys like, oh, if we get OKC, we're definitely beating them. Because he's not just saying stuff like that out of thin air. Like he's a very credentialed reporter, and he's been saying this for weeks where, hey, there's a team out there that does not respect OKC, and it's definitely between the Lakers, Warriors, or both pretty much. And I honestly don't think Stephen Curry respects us either because he's beaten us time and time, and they have a newfound energy with Jimmy Butler, and I can see why they think the way they do. Like, I mean, Draymond's a very outspoken guy. He's definitely going to say the same thing. He's like, I'm not scared of OKC. So those are definitely the two teams
because Draymond's got
that want our number.
Well, I'll say this: I kind of respect that out of them, but when they meet us, it's not going to be fun anymore.
I was gonna say we'll see them soon. Don't worry, we'll see them soon.
I can respect them, and honestly, I like the move with Jimmy. When they made that trade, I said that I remember saying that I really like that for them, and they've been on a tear. I'll give them credit, absolutely. But if they run into us, it's going to look bad quickly.
Yeah, I've gotta say something.
Go.
Yeah.
Bakers, haymakers, Lakers, Thunder in 6, baby.
There you go.
I love it. I
That's
hate that
great.
stuff so much, man. Lakers in 5. Get out of here, bro. But before we wrap up, I do want to mention we were talking about the Pistons. We were talking about Dame. It's funny how we were. Saturday we'll be in Detroit. Sunday we'll be in Milwaukee, most likely without J-Dub since he's home. He's not going to make the trip. Mm-hmm. So we got 2 more games on the road against 2 very good Eastern Conference teams. Not that they're ginormous games or anything, but it is a back-to-back, so we'll see how we handle that. And then back home, hopefully with Dub on the 19th. So let's get this stretch done, win another game or 2. And
phenomenal basketball. I mean, what a game.
I'm going to also add in here, we may lose the back-to-back against the Bucks, just coming off of a road trip, no J-Dub, and probably going to be pretty tired. Like, this was a very tiresome game for Shai, and he's got a decent amount of time to get some rest against the Pistons, but they're going to play us really tough. The way they play defensively is honestly ridiculous. They play hard core defense, so I just hope we don't come out with any injuries from the Pistons game. And then Bucks is just going to be a very tough game.
It's going to be a fun game. And listen, I think what Saphir's trying to tell you guys, if you're listening, fans out there, they can lose a game on a back-to-back against an Eastern Conference team that they probably won't see. So it'll be okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
But what do I know? I thought we were going to lose tonight, and here we are. So
I think that's more of a what does every OKC fan ever know, because we never really know what this team's going to do. So
most shocking team ever.
Yep. All right, well, we'll go ahead and end off the recap there. But for sure, thank you guys for listening and tuning in. Make sure you guys let us know what you're thinking in the comments. And Joe, would you like to do the honors?
Thank you, Boston. Have a good night. And Thunder up, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.